Organizational culture often gets talked about when a place is the best place ever or the worst place ever. And sometimes organizational culture is treated like a vibe. Sometimes it's treated like something that leadership can just install on an organization by announcing new values, revamping the website, and expecting people to behave differently. Most scholars would tell you organizational culture is not an obedient trait of organization. How things work here is hard to change because cultures are patterns. I'm Professor Bailey. I have a Ph.D. in organizational communication, and this is Everyday Organizational Behavior. Today, we're asking, how do people and structures co-create organizational culture? Culture often forms when repeated coordination solutions harden into the way things work. One foundational anchor here is Edgar Schein. Schein's model is often taught as 3 levels: artifacts, espoused values, and basic assumptions. The piece I want to emphasize is how those basic assumptions form through repeated problem solving. When groups face the same coordination problems again and again, and one approach works, maybe it reduces conflict, speeds up decisions, avoids blaming people, or protects someone's status, over time that approach stops feeling like a choice and it starts feeling like just the reality. That's culture, not just what people say they value, but what becomes taken for granted through repetition. Structure matters because it shapes which solutions are repeatable and rewarded. Structures like workflows, incentives, design, hierarchy, reporting lines, they don't just organize tasks, they shape what kinds of behavior makes sense. For example, if the structure rewards speed, the culture drifts towards urgency and has impatience for nuance. If the structure rewards risk avoidance, the culture drifts towards being more cautious and more defensive. If the structure rewards individual competition, then the culture drifts towards impression management and status monitoring. So culture isn't just who people are, it's what becomes normal under particular structural conditions. I want to reiterate something we've been talking about all semester, which is that people matter. People make places. If the people make the place, culture is shaped through attraction, selection, and attrition, not just socialization. Remember Benjamin Schneider from the first and second week? In Schneider's 1987 The People Make the Place, he proposed the attraction, selection, attrition framework. The basic idea is that organizations don't just shape people also shape organizations through a sorting process. People are attracted to environments that feel like they fit, and organizations select for that fit. Over time, people who don't fit so well often leave. The organization then becomes more homogeneous in certain characteristics, not necessarily demographics, but often values, assumptions, and preferred ways of working. That's how culture is co-created through our membership, and it explains why culture can be so stubborn, because it isn't only maintained through norms, it's also maintained through who sticks around. Culture becomes powerful because it organizes meaning, not just our behavior. This is where Carl Weick's sense-making work is especially useful. Weick's 1995 Sense-Making in Organizations argues that organizations are meaning systems. People act, then interpret and respond, and treat our interpretations as reality. So culture isn't just repeated behavior, it's repeated interpretation. What counts as professional? What counts as a good employee? What's a problem? What's a priority? What gets rewarded, punished, or ignored? And over time, those meanings become invisible. People stop noticing them because over time they feel like common sense or just like what's normal. So here are some key takeaways. Culture is co-created. It emerges from repeatedly coordinating to find solutions. It's reinforced through who joins an organization, who stays, and who leaves. And it becomes powerful because it stabilizes our meaning. And that takes us to the next video. When those shared meanings and routines get disrupted, it can feel really disorienting. Change is disorienting. Not because people are irrational, but because our coordination cues that we've become used to in our culture change.